Hi Jeff and Jess, this is Shadow Farrell, and this is my testimonial. This video is probably going to be a little on the longish side, but I hope that you'll watch the whole video because I'm going to give you something for free and that I think will be valuable to you. And so I hope that you'll at least watch the whole video and give me a chance to do that for you because it's something I do want to do for you. In the Profit League, we learn that with customers, we need to find out what their pain is and talk about how that pain can be resolved by providing our services. So I want to talk for a minute about what I can see as the pain of the Profit League. So as much as I can tell about the history of your company, you guys created a successful social media marketing company as business consultants, and then seeing that you had gotten this down to a science, you wanted to scale your income by packaging up that system and selling it, which even though you don't like the word franchise, it really is a franchise, right? That's the whole point. You learned very early in your career with your greeting card business that if you do the work, and that's all you sell is your work, every company hits a glass ceiling because all you can do to scale that business is to ask for more money for your work or hire employees. Whereas if you package the system and you sell people the system, that creates a passive income that you don't have to work for, and it's a passive income with really unlimited potential. And so I see that as what happened with the Profit League, that you created this successful advertising business and you wanted to package it up as a system and you wanted to sell it. And in looking at that system, you thought about what are going to be the objections that people will buy it. And one of the things you came up with is that you're going to give people unlimited access. Once they're a member for life. They have access to all content and updated content. And you decided to provide a limited amount of your services, I would guess probably about 10 hours, 2 weekly phone calls per week, which are limited to 2 hours. And then I would guess you spend about 6 hours monitoring Facebook, responding to people's questions in between that. And so now the Profit League's at a level where you're looking at scaling it again because, with 200, 300, 500 people, maybe that 10-hour per week investment for you worked very, very well. But now that you're looking at, having 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people, you want to be able to maintain that static amount of investment. So what's the way that you can maintain that? Well, one way you can maintain it is by providing, videos that answer repetitive questions that you see over and over again, and making the training better, or maybe adding things to the training. I think, since your pain is how to scale this business, I think this is actually not the right solution for how to scale this business. And I think the reason that you might be struggling with scaling the business is because fundamentally you've had a shift from being an advertising business to an educational business. And while you guys are experts, there's no question about that, experts in the advertising business, I don't think you've reached that level in the education business. And that's nothing against you guys. That's something I see very commonly in my business. I'm a technical trainer. I deliver very technical subjects to very untechnical audiences. And I see a lot of my colleagues where the idea is that if they know something, then they can teach it. And there's not really an understanding that teaching or training, whatever you want to call it, is a craft into and of itself. It's a craft that you need to study and understand just as much as whatever subject you're actually teaching people about. And so in that shift from being an advertising company to being an educational company, you haven't really changed your mindset from being advertisers to being educators. And so that's what I think is the sort of fundamental problem that's causing your pain with Profit League 2.0. I can tell this really by watching your students. So in my career, which has spanned over 20 years, certain topics I would lecture on, I see the same questions over and over and over again for people. It's possible that the problem lies with the students. They just haven't listened to me well enough. And I know from my research that people take in only about 60% of what's presented. So part of that I can compensate for by repeating things and so on. But fundamentally what I came to the conclusion of is I need to change the way I do my lectures. And the real two problems that I see in technical trainers are that when they're addressing their audience, number one, they don't understand the vocabulary of the students. Students may not have the vocabulary to understand that lecture. And number two, that providing a how-to is not as effective as providing a why-to. I call it the grammar. So when I teach computers, I talk about the grammar of computers, like how they actually work, which I found once I switched to that, I had a huge breakthrough in terms of students taking in the information to the point where I'm now at the top of my field. So when I look at the pain that you're seeing from the Profit League 2.0 and you're creating Profit League 3.0, it's to address this pain of wanting to scale up this educational business. And so you're saying, well, we'll create a new set of videos because the pain seems to be that people see different screens and they're not able to do it, so we need to update it from that point. But I think you will actually gain a lot more of what you're looking for if you change the ideas behind how you do the training. If you actually use training concepts to create better videos. So the answer is not really more videos, it's better videos. It may even be less videos. I mean, I'll give you some stats just for free. I have a company I work with. They've spent years and years and years analyzing how people learn from videos, and they found that students watch from between, optimally 2 to 5 minute videos. That beyond 8 minutes, students don't watch the video no matter what. So you can keep your videos between 2 to 5 minutes, no more than 8 minutes, and you'll actually be more successful. And that's something it costs some company a lot of money to understand. I'm passing it along to you for free. So with Profit League 3.0, this to me is really a benefit to your company. Number one, it's going to allow you to scale your business, hopefully by cutting down on support questions, and particularly repetitive support questions, so that you don't have to go beyond that initial, let's call it 10-hour investment that you really wanted to invest into this business on a weekly basis. It's also going to increase the lifetime value of your customers because it's going to cause you to have more successful clients, which will then result in more referrals. Anytime we have a referral, we're actually increasing the lifetime value of that customer because they're bringing in revenue that you didn't have to expend advertising money and time on to acquire that customer. So this is really the two big things that I think Profit League 3.0 will do for you. Whether or not you've done this in Profit League 3.0, I mean, it's too late for this advice, right? But I assume there will be a Profit League 4.0 and 5.0 until you actually solve your pain. The way that you can do this is by providing better vocabulary. For example, nowhere in the Profit League training does it define what a funnel is. So you could have like a very easy definition of a funnel. It's a set of web pages that people go through. It's designed to result in capturing the information about the leads that are most likely to turn into sales. I mean, maybe that's your definition, whatever your definition is. And then you need to repeat that multiple times, like, at least in the first 5 or 10 videos. Every time you say funnel, you just repeat that definition verbatim until it starts to stick into people's heads. The other thing that you need to provide is the grammar of how things work. So for example, Jeff, I know you have a video where you go through scripts and you talk about why each line in the script works. But one thing that's missing is the why do we need a script? So an underlying concept that I think you probably assume everybody knows is the idea that only the customer makes the decision to buy a product. And that the only way the customer is going to make a decision to buy the product is if they talk themselves into the idea that they need it. And that any interaction between the salesperson and the customer is really the customer looking for a reason not to buy this product. So that, we put certain lines in there to overcome their objections. We withhold information sometimes so that it doesn't create more objections in their mind. There's a whole philosophy behind that. But the underlying philosophy that's not articulated is that the customer makes the decision, and the customer's only going to make the decision if they convince themselves that they need the product. So I think as you're looking to solve that pain of how to scale this business without putting in more time, having a better franchise or better system that you're selling that's going to result in more happy customers without more investment in your time, so that it remains passive income as opposed to income that you're working for, is by developing training videos that really leverage the techniques of training, which is going to involve you guys going into yourself and finding the underlying truths that you think everybody would understand, but really they don't. I mean, I had a situation once where there was a student, they had paid $25,000 for a class, and they asked me after class, what's an end user? So, I mean, I think you understand. I mean, not everybody has the same vocabulary, even if you would think that they should. So really the impetus for making this video is because you're making me make this video, and that is a problem for me on a couple of different levels. One of the things that really sold me into this program was the idea that I would be a member. Once I'm a member for life. I have unlimited access to content and updated content. And now you're asking me to provide something to you in order to get access to updated content. And really my initial reaction to that is, wow, that's so against the contract that we signed. And I reread through that contract. Most of that contract protects you from my behavior. There's only one little paragraph that talks about what you guys are going to do for me. And this really goes against that particular paragraph. The video that you created to sort of justify why this is that you're doing me a favor that you don't need to do, and that all of this big effort that you're putting in, it's a small thing to ask me to put in a little bit of effort to compensate you to allow you to grow your business. But in fact, as I hope I've just demonstrated, Profit League 3.0 and future versions are actually to benefit you, to help you to scale your business so that you can maintain the amount of money you put into support and you can get more better lifetime value of your customers. And so it really doesn't sit well with me on that you would ask me to compensate you for something that's ultimately going to benefit your business and something that I've ultimately already paid for. And so, I really didn't feel comfortable about that. I would really urge you to rethink that video, re-record that video. I mean, the part 2 where you talked about not being able to go on vacation and so on, I'm not terribly sympathetic because, again, I see this curriculum as something that fundamentally benefits your business and really has a sort of cast over side benefit to me, which I feel I've already paid for. So I hope that you will consider this adequate enough for a testimony. Again, I've tried to compensate your effort that you put in by giving you some valuable insight into technical training. And for me, what I spend a lot of time doing is helping Kristen, who is the person that I bought this business for. I never anticipated that I would be involved in this business because I don't learn from videos, and I have my own successful business, not as successful as yours, but it's certainly successful. And so I spend a lot of the time filling in those training gaps for her, taking the how that you've provided and translating it into a why, the grammar of what's going on, so that she can then take that information and use it in any situation. And so I consider this my testimonial, and I look forward to getting access to Profit League 3.0 so I can continue to support my wife. And if you have any questions or you want any more information from me, I'm not like that. I'm not going to ask you to compensate me. I would love if you compensate me, but anyway, I'm not going to ask you to do that. I'm willing to answer whatever questions that you have for free, because that's my way of compensating you for being good people who seem to care about your clients. That's what I see as a better reciprocation than making a testimonial video that I'm just not at the point where I feel I can give that kind of testimony about the Profit League if I will ever be at that point. So thank you. I hope you guys take care. And I hope you're not mad at me. You actually appreciate this in the spirit in which it was given.